Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis. I put up my Guardian Games guide yesterday, so I didn't quite get to this one. So I'm going to try and do this in one giant video today. The TWAB is massive, so I'm going to skim through the ability tuning preview because I know a lot of people have touched on that. Biggest thing, they do mention fragment budgets. So some aspects had one fragment slot. Now they come with 2 fragment slots for all of these. Bastion, Juggernaut, Chaos Accelerant, Trapper's Ambush, Shadow Dive, and Gunpowder Gamble, all good things. And most of this is buffs. Supers get increased damage resistance. Golden Gun, 20% PvE buff. Arc Staff, 20% PvE buff. Spectral buffs, 35% PvE buff. And you weaken targets with a heavy attack. Gathering Storm does more damage to players, it looks like mostly. Titans, Fist of Havoc, cheaper, and the heavy attack does 33% more. Glacial Quake, the light attack does 20% more damage, and Shiver Strike has 10% more speed. For Sentinel Shield, PvE 20% damage. Hammer of Soul 10%. You do get a lot of hammers, so we'll see if that matters. Burning Maul 10% damage. I even listened to Dado's video yesterday. Said it still sounds like 10% is low. Does create a sunspot when you cast. Also applies Scorch with the big Cyclone. Maybe that'll cook stuff with the ignitions over time. We'll have to see. Still don't know if I'll use Burning Maul. Hammers with 10% more, maybe better. Warlocks, Nova Warp, 15% PvE damage. Fully charged attack now makes enemies volatile. Nova Bomb, 20% bonus in damage. Just chunk out your bomb and you're doing 20% more. I don't think there's any arguments there. Storm Trance, 25% PvE damage. Damage ramps up quicker. Landfall now jolts targets. So if you landfall a big target and then you sit there and work on them with your Storm Trance for a while, you'll be jolting them, getting those chunks of damage as well. Chaos Reach, increased PvE damage by 25%. Sustained damage now jolts a target, so they get that sustained damage. Looks like better movement speed, all that fun stuff. Winter's Wrath, 10% PvE damage. Daybreak actually allows you to see the camera, and I think there's a camera thing for Chaos Reach as well. Those are going to be good. Strand tuning updates. The Hunter Threaded Spike is definitely just better. They covered that previously. Frenzied Blade, basically just quicker based on the number of charges you have. Warlock Arcane Needle, pretty much just improved. Grapple, they reduced the cooldown, and the minimum time between cooldowns is between grapples is quicker. Thread generation, a little bit faster, but they reduced thread generation, reduced the energy generated by some damage over time mechanics, and reduced energy generated by trace rifles. That's the thing where you do damage, you get your grenade energy back, which is great if you're just using a scout rifle or not a rifle or something, but trace rifles probably were breaking it just a little bit. Stasis tuning updates. Let's see, Withering Blade, increased projectile tracking on bounce versus players by 20%. Maximum tracking strength up. Shiver Strike, maximum thrust while in-fly increased by 16%. Decrease the downward gravity part. Howl of the Storm, increase the width of the freezing cone. Frost Pulse. Yeah, all those seem fine. Titan, biggest one for me that I'm not a fan of, and I guess I'll just have to see how it goes. But the Titan mobility of Shoulder Charge, Seismic Strike, Shield Bash, and Hammer Strike now cost 15% melee activation. Base cooldowns are now standardized to 91 seconds, so the cooldown is a little bit shorter. But they do state it's going to take around 7 seconds at 100 strength to get your shoulder charge back up to full. Because if you use a shoulder charge, it's going to just clip a little bit off the top, even just for movement. So it's no longer going to be just a movement thing. So in Season 21, we're also making some adjustments to Knockout, Shield Throw, Throwing Hammer, Sunspots. Knockout, they reduce the lunge range. Uncharged melee PvE bonus damage now increased. Shield Throw, base impact's a little better, but it does a better job hunting targets. Same with Throwing Hammer, does a little better trajectory with aim assists. Snare Bomb for Hunters, increased PvE weaken duration, basically doubled. That's a great thing to help you just kind of have a nice backup weaken if you need it. Proximity Explosive Knife, Weighted Throwing Knife, Lightweight Knife, Gunpowder Gamble, damage, or cooldown is reduced, which is big. All the knives, the tracking shape is up by 20%. On mouse and keyboard, reduce minimum tracking shape by 25%. Proximity Explosive Knife, detonation damage versus players reduced from 105 to 90, so a little harder to kill after that explosion. Impact damage versus players increased from 14 to 20, so not much giant differences there. I'm sure people will have issues with all this stuff, but Ball Lightning, PvE damage up by 30%. Cool, make that a little more useful. Scatter Grenade. Still don't know if it's ever going to be great, but it's there. Magnetic Grenade, Chulge hard time from 3.2 to 4.5 for handheld Supernova. It's the amount of time you can hold it. Incinerator Snap fixed an issue where preventing the secondary projectile arming shape from activating. There's a lot of technical speak in here, so I'm kind of blowing through some of this, but mostly it's all buffs. Honestly, a lot of it really is. Just the shoulder charge not really being a mobility thing for the Titans kind of burns me a little bit, but overall, a lot of mobile supers, a lot of things getting buffed. Jolt did get its damage reduced, and the scaler to damage down by 15%, reduce the damage scaler versus major combatants in PvE by 20%. It's a very, very powerful thing. There's a reason I run around with that, seriously, that energy weapon all the time, so they're trying to bring it in check a little bit, and I get it. Still going to be strong, but a little weaker. Scorch, basically, it lasts on targets longer. Players, it lasts by 0.7 seconds longer. On PvE targets, 1.5 seconds longer before the stacks begin falling off. So if you, like, want to charge up Scorch and kind of get Scorch to stack and actually go for the ignition, it's going to be kind of a thing. They're also messing with the speed booster from Amplified, so they're going to work on that. All right, that's that one. Kind of knocked it out as quick as I could. But basically, a lot of things getting buffed pretty much across the board. From what I can tell, supers, roaming supers, damage, abilities getting bumped up. So now we're in the TWAB. This is going to be the long section, so strap in here. I don't know if I'm going to timestamp this thing, probably just because I don't want to go back through and look for it. So we're going to go through this pretty much in order and just skip where I can. This is all the stuff that's going to be talked about. Kind of the order of sequences there. One class to rule them all, so Guardian Games is live. If you haven't seen anything on Guardian Games, I've done multiple videos on that. I'll do another video over different weapon god rolls. Definitely make sure you guys are doing the platinum score objectives, both for PvE and PvP. It showers you with like 6 different weapons when you do that. Some of them have like double sets of perks on them, so definitely 100% worth doing those quests and perks and stuff. Make sure you knock that stuff out. So, big one. Season 21. Season of the Deep. They already told us what it was before. Now, in case you guys don't know, this character in the bottom looking through the glass at the Guardians floating with the giant eyeball, that's Sloane on Titan. No question about it. It's Sloane because of her armor. I literally found a picture of her armor. I just don't want to, like, change my windows and stuff right now. But if you go look up Sloane from Destiny 2, that is the back of her armor. Now, the difference is she has a taken arm. That is not normal. She did not have a taken arm before, but the little, like, kind of studs on her armor on the left and right shoulder pads and the elbows, that is 100% her. And then I can't tell if her legs are taken too. So she's been through some stuff. I mean, the last thing that happened was we lost the access to all of these planets, and this was one of them. So she held up the fight, and she is part taken, it looks like. We'll have to see if her face is taken, or looks like she's got part human arm, part taken arm. Looks like maybe one leg. But that's your armor for your classes. Definitely unique looking. Like the floatiness of all, I think the Titan's in the middle because they got the shoulder pads, but that class item is almost near like a skirt. The Warlocks are wearing a full-on like toga robe, and then, I mean, it's cool because they're floating in water, so it's conceptual, but I'm curious how that plays out in-game. Giant eyeball. So on Titan, there is a large enemy that was, you know, rumored to be in the oceans of Titan per lore. And if we go figure out what that's all about, that's going to be really interesting. But Season of the Deep, I always thought was related to the Hive lore, the Deep, where the actual, like, a Leviathan was, and that's what Rolt killed. That's the giant rib bone that's in Vow of the Disciple. And the Deep is where, like, the worm got, like, all the stuff went down with, like, the proto-hive before they really became hive gods. That's what I thought Deep was. This definitely seems to have Titan involved, but also feels like Hive are going to be involved as well. Lore-wise, hoping very interesting season. Crossing my fingers on that one. Got a picture without title on it as well. Looks pretty cool. So, I'm pretty excited for that. Titan's a cool planet to have back. It had some cool stuff. The Archipelago is still one of the cooler places they designed. Good to see, hopefully, it back for at least a little while. And then, at least we do get a new destination to roam around for 9 months, at least. And all in all, I'm just curious where they go with the lore on this one, because the giant Leviathan creature, we're floating in the water. Sloane's hanging out here. She's got a taken arm. Some stuff went down, and I'm curious to hear about it. So, Season 21, we'll be getting more soon in coming weeks, because they did say they were going to tell us quite a bit about it. But for now, the art alone gives you a lot to speculate about. Strand aspects. We get a new one each subclass. So, Hunter, Threaded Spectre. Activate your class ability to leave behind a decoy woven from strand matter that draws the attention of nearby combatants after taking significant damage, or when combatants approach, the decoy detonates, dealing damage, and releasing threadlings that seek out and attack nearby foes. Basically, you have a decoy that you get when you dodge, and it stays there. If stuff gets close, it's going to damage them with an explosion and release threadlings. For PV, I don't know how great this is going to be in PvP. I'll be curious how hard it is to tell or how beneficial it is, but still I see some benefit in PvP. PvE though, giving yourself a target, anything that draws the attention of nearby combatants, just a chance to get enemies off of you, any type of taking aggro from you, huge. So that actually could be big. Titan aspect, while sliding, activate your charge melee to leap in the air, knocking nearby targets away and dealing damage. While airborne, activate your charged melee again to launch a cluster of damaging, unraveling projectiles. Repeatedly activating melee will chain additional throws. So similar to the Titan wave attack that I don't really use. And the thing is, I say I don't really use it now, mostly just because I don't really find the whole wave attack, jump up in the air, and then if you do it in the air, then you hit the attack again and you slam. It has some cool stuff to it. I don't know of anybody who uses it, and honestly, I forget it's there. This feels a little similar to that. I'll be curious if it's a little better if you get the wave attack and then you get some projectiles, but never feels quite as worth it to go through the process of slide, attack, jump in the air, be exposed in the air, and then now at least you're going to have some ranged projectiles you'll be able to throw. Have to test it out, but sounds similar to something like we've got for another class. For Warlock, tangles you throw attach to enemies and detonate into a suspending burst. Threadling final blows create a tangle. So if you throw a tangle, it'll attach to enemies and detonate and cause suspension of those around it. And then if you have a threadling get a final blow, it's going to create a tangle, so you can do that again. So it sounds like a decent loop for Warlocks, especially if you're going into tangles and threadlings and that whole cycle. Put that on with your exotic of making more threadlings and tangles. Seems like it has some potential. Again, have to test it out and how really crucial it is on all those pieces, but making more use of the tangles sounds like a good thing. Overall, they all sound, give you a little variety, some interestingness to it, but we will just have to see. But that's most of it for the aspects. Just going to have to get our hands on them, but overall, I will give them all a shot. Just have to see how it goes. Stasis, strands... And sorry, doing multiple things at the same time while I record a video. Probably not advised. Stasis, Strand, and Light subclasses. That's everything I just blew through yesterday. If you want to read it in more detail, feel free. A lot of supers got buffed. Roaming supers got buffed. PvE damage getting buffed. Hunter mobility kind of getting a little bit of a nerf, but what are you going to do? Economy, and this is a huge one. For the first time, we will not, I repeat, not be increasing the power bans in Destiny 2 Season 21. Now, they don't say anything about future seasons, so I'm still not sure if they're going to, bump it up in Season 22, which it's going to feel weird, especially if a season they just, oh, here's 10 more. I don't know what they're going to do. But for now, the power stays exactly the same. Floor of 1600, soft cap 1750, powerful cap 1800, pinnacle cap 1810. Not going to change next season. So if you are currently at the pinnacle cap, you are at the pinnacle cap. You won't have to do it. If you have an alt character you were just a little behind on, well, maybe you work on that one a little bit more as well. So all in all, if you don't love the leveling process, especially just the pinnacle grind in the future, in the new seasons, not really a big deal. Saving up bounties, I will tell you, probably just got a little bit more valuable because it's the only real way to get an advantage in a season. So if you do want to save up bounties, it is just for experience on the artifact mostly at that point in the season pass. I like doing that. I'm a little behind on it this season just because I haven't really been as keen on doing it for a season. But getting up to that level 21, 22 area, or close to it at least, so I can start getting the progress on the seasonal exotic. That's usually one of the main reasons I like it. So, up to you. Next, exotic armor focusing. Now, they mentioned this previously. You're going to have standard focusing. If you get an engram, it's going to go into your inventory. Takes no cost to do it. A normal one goes totally random. See what you get. Cool. Exotic focusing tier 1. Requires the ownership of the associated expansion, as well as having previously acquired all armor pieces within the engram for your class. So you're going to have to acquire the exotics once. If you haven't acquired them before, you're going to have to go through and grind out getting some of those at some point. So you will be doing some Lost Sector grinding still if you're newer. But say if you do have all the exotics in Shadowkeep and you want to go after a specific one that's in there for your class, one exotic engram, 30,000 glimmer, and an ascendant shard. I don't know if they're going to change the ways that you get those, but sounds like more people are probably going to be running Master Nightfalls. Maybe they should put those in Trials chests, but that's just me. The main one is going to be focusing tier 2. Literally go after a specific piece of armor. Requires associated expansion, as well as previously having the armor itself. Costs you 1 engram, 60,000 glimmer, 3 ascendant shards, and an exotic cipher. Now, I will tell you, I still don't love the cost of this, because you can get 1 exotic cipher from Xur per week. So you're not really going to be focusing a ton of these into a certain place. But now, I will tell you, they've taken a pass at exotic armor stat packages. So your exotic should roll consistently higher stats, and with more frequent individual spike stats in Season 21. Average stats to be in the mid-60s. Now, this is huge. This almost puts more benefit into doing it this way, giving you some randomness to the exotic you get, because maybe the exotic legs for Red War or the Beyond Light only has a few. There may not be there may be a couple of options in there, but the cost of like an exotic cipher, like the fact that it's 3 shards versus 1 shard and no exotic cipher, you're limited to doing this one basically once a week, unless you have exotic cipher stored up, or maybe 2 a week. If you store up an exotic cipher, you do it over the weekend, then you pick up the Xur bounty and you knock that one out again. But generally, ascendant shards are going to be much more accessible, so you're going to have to be able to, at least if you own the expansion, roll the dice on probably a couple of exotics, but it should almost probably, because 1 out of 3, but still getting a good stat roll, might actually be a better spend. We'll have to see how this goes. You know I'm going to test it, but the cipher is the really limiting factor on tier 2. I will be curious how that one plays out. Lastly, since we are not raising the Pinnacle cap in Season 21, the need for many Pinnacle legendary rewards has dropped significantly. To make playing our evergreen ritual playlist worthwhile, we're changing the rewards for the basic complete activities challenges to a focusable, powerful exotic engram. This gives most players 3 to 9 free, achievable, and deterministic weekly exotic engrams ready for focusing. Now that's a damn good change. I will tell you, that's actually exciting. The fact that when you get to the Pinnacle cap, most people for an entire season aren't going to care about doing Pinnacles. Well, if you go to the Pinnacles now and you get an exotic engram from it that you can go roll and focus or whatever, that's going to be huge, actually. Stocking up Ascendant Shards on alt characters is actually going to be beneficial as well. So that's going to be big. I'll be curious all the places that they are, but my leveling video from this season, probably going to be looking for an update. That's big, actually. I am pretty excited about that because a focusable, powerful exotic, probably going to drop at Pinnacle cap if you're there. So if you're 1810, it's probably going to drop 1810. And the fact that you've got higher stats on it. Now, it does devalue exotics to some extent if you're an exotic person. Sure, I get that. But also on the other side, it is kind of one of those things. Now, I will tell you, if you have not claimed all of your exotic engrams from this season pass, don't touch them. Because you can always go back under your account and actually pull your previous stuff from your season pass. Highly recommend not touching your exotic engrams right now. Save them for later when they're more valuable. So that's probably one of the biggest PSAs. I might actually put out a video on that this weekend. Some of you guys probably pick them up every time. I don't tend to touch those, so if you haven't picked them up though, don't. But yes, you will be losing some Pinnacle drops, so reaching the Pinnacle cap will be a bit slower for everyone. We are hoping the need for less Pinnacle drops continues in future seasons, but we are looking at feedback, analytics, and ready to adjust as necessary. So, also probably a good thing. If you're not at the Pinnacle cap right now, like my alt characters, I probably need to get my button gear. Now, raids and things are still going to be good because every encounter still gives you a drop. But yeah, work on your Pinnacle grind for your alts now because it's probably going to serve you better to do that now as opposed to when it's a little slower. Other sources for focusable exotic engrams, random world drops still sometimes happen. Season pass, paid and free track, 6 on the paid track, 2 on the free track. Again, if you haven't picked them up, keep them till next season. Vendor reputation tracks, after the first reset, you'll get them. Takes a while, but you do get a few. And you can expect additional focusable exotic engram sources in future seasons. Now let's get our sights on Deepsight. All right. I am trying to talk relatively fast here, but there's a lot going on. Okay, Deepsight. Season 21 will be adding the ability to electively activate Deepsight on weapon instances to obtain pattern progress. That's a sentence to unpack. This capability will be accessible through a new mod slot in the weapon detail screen for eligible weapons. To perform a Deepsight activation on a weapon, you will need a new Deepsight Harmonizer currency. Well, you lose some currencies, you get new currencies. That is destiny. New raid weapons, non-raid weapons, sorry, that's a very big distinction. Non-raid weapons will cost 1 Harmonizer, while raid weapons will require 15 spoils in addition to the Harmonizer. That's not so bad, that seems fair. The Deepsight Harmonizer currency can be obtained from the Season Pass rank rewards. 3 in the free ranks and another 3 in the paid. I hope that's not the only place to get it. This will be the sole source of the currency for the initial rollout of the feature. Additionally, only 1 Harmonizer can be stored in the inventory at a time. This currency does not... Alright, so this is the testing phase for the Deepsight Harmonizer currency. So this is the beta of Deepsight Harmonizer. And I say that because only going to get them from the Season Pass. Only going to be able to store 1 at a time. The currency does not stack. That already tells you they don't want too many out there. They don't want things going crazy. I guess we'll have to read a little more. Not all weapon instances will be... Weapon instances is just a weird way to state that. Just weapons, I think, would cover it. Will be compatible with Deepsight activation. You will be prevented from activating Deepsight for a weapon that has already had its pattern unlocked. That's fair. Weapons that previously had Deepsight will be ineligible. You cannot activate Deepsight on a weapon instance in which had originally been acquired with Deepsight. Nor can you activate Deepsight multiple times on a single weapon. Single weapon, that part's fine. Weapon instances purchased from raid vendors will be ineligible. However, weapons purchased from Xur and the Gunsmith will support Deepsight activation. Okay. Crafting cost will also see a change in Season 21. Legendary shard cost will be removed from all crafting components. Fine. Glamour and enhancement core costs will remain untouched. Enhanced weapon costs are based on weapon masterwork costs and thus will still require legendary shards, as we are not yet modifying the weapon masterwork economy in Season 21. Okay. That's fine. I am honestly confused after reading that, but generally, you've got a Deepsight activation to perform a Deepsight activation on a weapon. Now, this is got to be for... You go to Xur in a certain week, or even like Gunsmith, for example. He's got the Solar Glaive from last season. You never unlocked it. What you can do, it theoretically sounds like, is take a Deepsight Harmonizer. When you pick up that Gunsmith, Solar Glaive from Season 19, put the Deepsight Harmonizer on there. It's going to help you unlock a progress on a pattern, and that you can do. Now, if you don't have the paid Season Pass, you're literally not going to be able to make progress. So I'm not sure how much this is going to do. I almost need to read this again, but I don't want to do it for this. But yeah, if you guys are curious about this in the comments or have thoughts about this in the comments, that's fine. But generally, it's going to be a currency that allows you to activate Deepsight on a weapon that you have not unlocked the pattern for and is going to help you make progress on that pattern. I think that's the general idea behind this, and I think that's the whole goal, is for you to get craftable weapons that you haven't been able to unlock yet. But it does sound very strangely worded, and it also is very limited in the start that it is only from the Season Pass. So definitely strange. I'm going to have to read that before the podcast night. Come hang out on the podcast in the last word, 7 p.m. right here on YouTube. Otherwise, catch the archive later. But yeah, we're going to talk about that, but yeah, I'm going to read it again before that. So that is what is happening. Crafting economy is minor, but the Deepsight activation basically allowing you to get access to craftable weapons you didn't have before. Quality of life. Weird they're showing Touch of Malice. Over the last year, raid and dungeon teams have added triumphs to new raids and dungeons, Duality Spire, Root, all those things, which give a boosted chance to receive the exotic weapon drop for that raid or dungeon. Season 21, we're adding boosted triumphs to legacy content with randomly dropped exotic weapons to bring them up to our standards for raid and dungeons. We added them to existing triumphs and are we added them to existing triumphs and are retroactive, so if you've already done the triumphs, you'll immediately get a boost. So Petra's Run, +3. Oh, this is the Last Wish for 1,000 Voices. Petra's Run, +3. New Meta, +2. Thunderstruck. So those are all the different classes. Challenges. Doing the different challenges, 1 per those. Gives you a boost of getting the exotic. I still need to get 1,000 Voices. Just not that keen on it. And Eyes of Tomorrow. Survival of the Fittest. Freezing Point. Control Group. Challenges. Complications. Got to do some raiding, apparently. Vow. I did get the exotic from here. Yeah, Risen from the Deep. Master Difficulty. Together. Different challenges, different complications. These are all basically the same. The more triumphs you do that were related to a raid or a dungeon, King's Fall, all that stuff is going to allow you to get a better chance of the exotics that previously had no benefit in getting an improvement drop. So if you're looking for trying to get a better drop on old exotics from dungeons or old raids, and you don't have them yet, doing these kind of things will help you get that drop. So trying to get groups together to do these challenges may be tough, but that's how it's going to help at least. Finest Matterweave and Rainmaker deprecation. As part of our ongoing efforts to simplify the economy, they just literally talked about adding an economy resource, but you know, you give some and you take some. Seems to be the way we go. It's time to say goodbye to Finest Matterweave and Rainmaker. In Season 21, these items will no longer be dropped from any source in the game. In any instance where players would receive a Finest Matterweave, they will receive 1 enhancement core instead. And whenever players would have gotten a drop of Rainmaker, they will instead earn 3,000 Glimmer. It's fine, not going to argue with the drops. All existing instances of Finest Matterweave can be dismantled for 1 enhancement core each. Now, I would love it if they would be able to let you break those down in like the hundreds, because I have like 500 of those things. So hopefully they have an option for faster. Otherwise, I'm going to have to watch like a series on Netflix to break down 500 of these things. And a Rainmaker for Glimmer, they need to do that in bigger chunks. All instances of Rainmaker can be dismantled for 3,000. Yeah, hopefully they allow you to do it in bigger chunks. I don't know why it's so small, but you know, it should kind of do an auto detect. Like if you have 10 or if you have 100, drop it faster. We'll see, but it's probably going to be slow. But at least we can finally get rid of them. Literally talking to my Discord about the same thing right there. Vanguard bounties. Daily bounties. Existing daily bounties requiring you to a specific type of kill, grenade, headshot, or a specific weapon now require twice as many kills to complete, but can be done anywhere in the game. That's a good thing. It's always annoying to have to go into strikes to do a Zavala bounty. With increased progress in strikes. See, I'm fine with that. If I'm going to go do Gambit or Raid or Neptune, but I want to do like grenade kills, that is totally fine. You're only plan on doing these in Vanguard activities, you should see no change in behavior. We also had a number of new bounties, killing elites, mini-bosses, champions, killing with elemental abilities, complete 2 Vanguard activities, fine. Like, that's a good thing, allowing you to get a lot of those, like, generic bounties done in open places. That's going to be better, but if you do it, you'll see increased progress in the Nightfalls, which basically keeps it on par. That's fine, not a bad thing. Also had 1 new repeatable bounty, 1 for getting fire team kills in Vanguard activity. Well, that's fine. Good Boy Protocol. If you weren't in here in Season 19, Archie is returning in Season 21. Now that we found him a permanent home in the tower, we are reintroducing the Good Boy Protocol stat tracker and moving it to the account career. So yeah, you can go pet the dog. Okay. As our teams continue to invest in crafting compelling seasonal experiences for the year of Lightfall, there's a heads up we wanted to give regarding a small increase to the standalone pass price beginning with Season of the Deep. If you are going to buy the seasons by themselves, it's going to be more. Season Pass is going up by 200 silver, so $2. Season Pass plus 10 Guardian ranks, or 10 ranks on your Season Pass is also going up by $2. So basically the Season Pass is $2 more. That kind of falls in line with the Deluxe Edition, because the Deluxe Edition was $100 instead of $80. So your season's now costing $48. So you have a slight discount basically by buying the Season Pass by like a little bit. This will be the new pricing for the season passes in Lightfall's year for those looking to maximize their rewards in each of the new season, and we'll be evaluating the new approaches to post-launch content in the year of Final Shape. I am really curious about that. I know this is a thing. Let me know what you think in the comments, because I have been racking my brain asking the podcast. New approaches to post-launch, I can't talk apparently, post-launch content in the year of Final Shape. Final Shape is the end. Like, that expansion is going to be the end of the Light and Dark saga. That is the big end to the story, in theory at least. Now, they said Destiny 2 is going to continue on. We'll see how that goes. But you have the big giant climax with Season 24. That's like Final Shape. Season 25, what are we going to be doing? That's where my question is, and I wonder what they do. So I will be very curious to see how things go. Pricing will remain unchanged for the Lightfall Standard Edition, which includes access to the current live season, and the Lightfall Annual Pass, which includes seasons 20 through 23. That's not surprising. Little sneak in there, but I mean that it goes along with the pricing structure. But yeah, that's not going to be a good thing for some people I know. I buy the whole year. If you do it season by season, it is going to cost you a little bit more. Some people will, hopefully season 21 obviously merits the cost of the increase. Well, hopefully that actually makes sense then. Trials. So you've got a new exotic ghost shell, new exotic ship, new sparrow, new shader, and more shaders coming in Season 22, Season 23. Season 21, Trials Loot Pool. You're going to get the Messenger coming back. High Impact Kinetic Pulse Rifle. I wonder if we're going to have stuff like kinetic trimmers on there. Because it's kinetic, I don't usually get... You're not going to see anything like Incandescent or Volt Shot or anything like that one. An Arc Glaive. Now, a Glaive with a Volt Shot could be very cool. Reloading, not great, but again, that's where I feel like I wish they could change the way Volt Shot works on certain weapons. The Adept version of Unexpected Resurgence will first be available the week of June 9th, and the Adept version of the Messenger will be available June 16th. The season itself starts on like May 23rd, so this will be week 3, this will be week 4, just FYI. This will be after Diablo 4 has come out, so that is going to be a rough week. But again, if they're trying to get people back in there, kind of get it. Following weapons will be removed from the standard loot pool in Season 21, but the non-adept versions will be available through Legacy Focusing. Whistler's Wind Bow and Inquisitor Shotgun, those are going away from the loot pool. Talking about Crucible Labs. In Week 8, we ran a Trials Labs to test a new style of matchmaking for Trials of Osiris. Overall, the new system worked mostly as intended, but we did discover an issue with the lobby balancer, which was causing high-skilled solo players to often feel like matches were stacked against them. Saw that all over Twitter. For some background, since we moved to using ticket-based matchmaking years ago, we have not been tracking skill in Trials and have not been utilizing any sort of skill-based lobby balancing either. The new matchmaking system allows us to match based on card state and track skill, which we were planning to use for analytics purposes. Preemptively, we believed we had disabled the skill-based lobby balancing, as the intent of the new system was to maintain the randomized nature of lobbies. Unfortunately, this turned out to not be the case, and the previous latent lobby balancer came back online as soon as player skill values started to solidify over the weekend. We were able to identify the issues through the player reports in a timely manner, and we have implemented fix for Season 21, which will overwrite everyone in the challenger pool's skill, and they're changing up the pools, effectively randomizing the lobby balancing for all players pursuing flawless. To fix this fix will not be present in the Week 11 labs this season, but we'll continue to monitor feedback. Second issue that came to our attention with the Week 8 labs was that we did not communicate properly that, starting Sunday at reset, players who had already been flawless could still farm adept rewards on any 7-win card. Even flawed. I'm sorry, what? See, I thought there was issues because I tried that and I wasn't getting drops, but if you get a 7-win card, even if it's flawed, like they could win, like they could when the flawless pool is active. For Week 11 labs, we will be activating this feature starting as soon as Trials goes live on Friday. What this means is that once you go flawless, you can continue to play on that 7-win card for the rest of the weekend, even if it's flawed. Oh, you have to be flawless. Gotcha. Once it's flawed, and any win has a chance to grant you an adept weapon for the week. So basically, if you can go flawless once, keep that card, and then any win, then you can just go in like solo matchmaking if you want to at that point. And if you do get wins, you get a chance at an adept. So go flawless once and then hang on to that card and just reap the benefits afterwards. Because we have removed ticket-based matchmaking, if you want to help a friend get to the lighthouse after you have already been, you do not need to reset your card, as the number of wins on it no longer influences the difficulty of the matches you will face. We believe this will make getting flawless feel significantly more rewarding and should help alleviate the friction between farming and helping players go flawless. Overall, the two soft pools worked well. Blending is needed to ensure connection quality stayed high. I was like, I got different feedback on Twitter, but again, if the matchmaking was issues in lobby balancing, hopefully that's a thing. They say we believe we have captured the data we need to make accurate assessments so that we will be tuning the values for Season 21 to make it far less likely that any standard players get caught up by farming protection. We estimate that less than 1% of Trials population will have been eligible to trigger it moving forward, compared to the approximately 5% during the first labs. This should allow the performance-based matchmaking used in Practice Pool to provide a high-quality experience for all players who choose to participate. At some point I'll go flawless, but I haven't done it solo yet, that's for sure. Trials of Osiris intro quest that you have to do, Trials passages. In Season 21, the Passage of Mercy will forgive 2 losses if you haven't been flawless, so you get a better shot. After going flawless, if you reset your card, it will revert to forgiving a single loss on each card. So if you go flawless, keep it, basically. Also, Passage of Wealth, previously granted increased reputation. This is at odds with the system that wants you to continue to play on a 7-win card to get the most efficient progress and rewards. Season 21, this passage will grant 75 trials rep for every win, along with additional bonus for your current major rank in trials up to 150. This encourages the player to stay on the same card to take advantage of the system, granting more reputation wins later in the card. Sure, great. Dominion. Let's see. In Season 21, we will be moving to Dominion as the core game mode for Trials. This is not a change we're making lightly, but after several seasons of testing in Trials Labs and analyzing both the positive and negatives, what the heck is Dominion? It offers a choice between playing Elimination and playing an objective. Offering an objective for players to focus on outside of kills can allow more types of players to contribute to winning. On average, games are 15% faster than standard Elimination. Objectives promote more varied game types. I guess I'll have to see what Dominion's all about. So is it like holding down a point? Kind of a combination of both. We understand that switching to Dominion... I don't even know if I've heard that much about Dominion and they're switching to it. So maybe I missed a giant memo somewhere, but that definitely feels like something that I've overlooked. Promotes a healthier sandbox variety in both weapons and subclasses on weekends where we run Dominion. Now, are they saying like zone capture, or I don't know Dominion? I feel like an idiot right now, so maybe I'm just... Let me know in the comments if I'm an idiot, or if Dominion is a word you guys have heard like 100 times. Cool. If you're at all somewhat wondering what Dominion is, not entirely sure either. If math plays poorly in standard Elimination, there's little we can do to alter it. With Dominion, we have a larger number of levers we can use to modify how a map plays to provide the best and most balanced experience. For example, in Season 21, we'll be changing the initial player and zone spawn locations on Burnout based on feedback from the Season 20 Trials Labs. And maybe it was a Trials Labs thing that I just smooth missed, but that's the thing. Having multiple zones, we can make changes to maps more quickly to address concerns about flow or balance. Well, that's not a bad thing. Overall, I'm okay mixing it up. We have had the same Elimination for forever now, so it's probably okay to get a little change in there. I'm not a Trials like Grenade or Jake guy, so I probably have a very skewed and pointless opinion on a lot of this, but I jump in solo pretty frequently when I'm, you know, in the mood for some Trials, so it's not bad. I'll be curious to see how it feels. The Gilded Flawless requirements in Season 20 were as follows. Get 180, get 100 rewards. No. Season 20, it will change to get 500 kills, earn 16 Trials ranks, basically reset the reputation, go flawless, and get 50 kills with one of the seasonal exotic weapons equipped. What? You do not need to get 50 kills with the weapon itself. You just need to have it equipped while you get 50 kills. That is odd. Very strange. Hopefully they're two separate, like go flawless should be one objective, and then get 50 kills with a seasonal objective in Trials. That can be fine, but it should not be tied to a flawless run, so hopefully those are separate. Skill of the one, while on a ticket with 0 losses, with the light for the Lost Emblem equipped. Oh, you have to have a specific... Okay, yeah, Gilding Season 21 Trials, you're going to be living in there, so good luck. You can read all the details, but that's just a lot of stuff that I'm not going to do. But if you do all the craziness... For this new iteration of Trials, we wanted to provide a small, special deterministic reward to allow players to provide their skill above and beyond simply going flawless. This emblem will be rewarded to players who, when they open the flawless chest at the lighthouse, if they did not trail during any of their wins on flawless run. Meaning you must get a Flight of the Pigeon medal for every win. Basically, you got to go 5 to 4 the whole time at a minimum. If you ever trail, it's out. Highly skilled players will be able to achieve this on their first Lighthouse run, but for others it could be a challenge. It's a cool emblem, not going to lie, but yeah. Speaking of Trials, Rusted Lands did win. I feel like the Disjunction people out there who are trying to be evil tried, but yeah, Rusted Lands is the most reasonable of those three, so that's fine. Prime Gaming rewards, the Hit the Bag emote, and the weights, I'm kind of cool with those. Wallpapers from Guardian Games. Giant wallpapers, because I zoomed in. Upgraded event card. Let's see. The node for normal Supremacy matches is missing its description. Yeah, it's a bit weird. Wish Ender does not penetrate extended phalanx or Hydra shields. Okay, yep. Kind of feel like I noticed that. Some Guardian Games quests are only progressing with bronze medals. Do the recreational playlist if you want to. The Lake of Shadows Nightfall, wiping the final boss room. That's still there. Of Excalibur Catalyst Triumph not completing. I know that one because I did it all. Hopefully you guys saw the videos. Masterworking, then enhancing a weapon will make it appear the player gets a bigger stat, but they won't. Using 3 copies of the same resist armor mod does not give any extra benefit. Some players report that Radiant no longer stuns. Fire sprites, yeah, so that stuff's still the same. You got your movies and art of the week. Another TWAB, but alas, our time has ended for at least this week. We'll have more to share on Season of the Deep leading up to May 23rd launch. We'll also be diving into more weapons and armor changes, showing off some of the new exotics for the season, and asking you to save the date for the new dungeon. Oh, I'm going to be there for that. I'm really hoping the dungeon doesn't drop like the same day as Diablo 4, but my luck is it will, so we'll find out. Probably the second week, if that's like May 31st. I will be in there right before Diablo goes live, so we'll see. I'm looking to play Diablo. I don't know if I'm going to cover it. If you guys are curious about that, let me know in the comments as well. So that feels like a wrap up here. If you guys enjoyed this long one and you made it to the end somehow, please drop a like. Find me on Twitch at Ebontis, Twitter at Ebontis, or hit the subscribe button, hit the alert bell to catch my new videos, and also come hang out for the podcast tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. See you guys there. Obviously a decent amount to discuss, so lots to talk about. Hope to see you around the campfire or in a future video. Have a good one, good luck, and may the best class win. Titans.